Hello dears, and welcome back to the channel Benidorm by Anna, and welcome back to the gorgeous Benidorm town, Levante Beach. And it's time as every Monday and Friday for the latest Spain update and especially Benidorm's news update. Today we have three different news to share with you all as usual. The first news will be as usual the situation in tourism, the update on what's going on right now, what is available and what is not so far. The second news will be about the most expensive cities in Spain to take the taxis, since a lot of people use them as a usual mobility service when they come on holidays because it's very convenient and it's quite fast. But is it cheap? And what prices are right now in Benidorm? You're about to find out. And the last news will be about the issues and protests that are not over just yet, that will be happening in a lot of other touristic cities here in Spain throughout the end of this month and the beginning of summer. Why people are protesting, you will know in a few minutes. And then the weather forecast. What will the temperatures be like? What is the water temperature? We start letting you know the water temperature already because a lot of people went for a swim for the first time this year, 2023. So you should know from now on up until winter what the water temperature is like in Benidorm. Let's start. The first news is as usual the situation update in terms of tourism. Our area is very well known, very popular amongst British tourism, and not only British. In some comments a year ago, probably people did mention that what about other people? It's not only British who are coming here. That's obviously true, but the previous model of Benidorm was based mostly on the British tourism, and it's still the vast majority of people who are visiting our city. However, here's the complete list of the tourists that are visiting us, which are people from France, Netherlands, Germany, Poland, Scandinavian countries, even US, and Ireland, Italy, and much more. Also from Eastern countries, from post-Soviet Union, etc. Our city is very international in this sense. And still, the British market is the complete leader in terms of quantity of people arriving. And right now, it's already going towards more international tourists and less Spanish. Spanish will be traveling after the school is over, starting from the second half of June, all that part of June, July, August, and first part of September. Right before the school year will start again. This is when we're Spanish and international tourists both will be coming here to Benidorm. But so far, the biggest amount of people either are pensioners who are coming to their holiday homes here, or international tourism. And Benidorm is pretty much alive. The average occupancy right now here in the city is of 82.8%. So very soon hotels will be almost fully booked, and it is better than the last year. Surprisingly, Calpe, which is one of the towns here in the area that we love, if you've checked our private tours, or if you've checked our channel, if you've been with us for a while, you know that we filmed you a lot of videos. We show you not only Benidorm but beyond Benidorm as well, which is very important in our opinion because there's so many places, so many great areas to discover. It's incredible and it's definitely worth visiting, which is why we expand our knowledge and show you more places around. We've been to Calpe, we've showed you the old town, the most famous beach of Arenal, the city center, the less famous parts to the Flamingo, Salt Lakes, and much more. And Calpe is also becoming very popular. They have around the same occupancy as us. And we are supposed to be the busiest town in terms of tourism. So Calpe is going strong this year. Let us know if you've been there, if you like it, or if you've seen some of the videos. If not, check it out here on the channel. Just put Benidorm by Anna Calpe and you'll have a ton of different videos about that gorgeous city slightly outside Altea town. The average sum of money that tourists are spending here in Spain right now is more than €1,000 per person. Imagine this. Obviously, it's due to the fact that the cost has also gone up. A lot of you did say that it's 400 euros, 500 euros, even 600 euros more expensive than it previously was. So I get now why people are cutting down the days or cutting down spending a little bit, or searching for some cheaper accommodation options maybe, because they still want to have fun, they still want to go on holidays, they deserve holidays obviously, but it's getting really expensive. And it's not only here it's just a tiny bit, but there are a lot of other areas where holidays are too expensive already, and not all people can sadly afford them any longer. The second news that I wanted to share with you all is about a transport that a lot of us use. Locals don't use it very often, but sometimes on massive holiday celebrations such as New Year, maybe Christmas Eve or a Christmas Day, or on a really, really rainy day, sometimes we need to use this transport as well. But mostly it's used for tourists. We're talking about the taxi service here in Spain, not only in Benidorm, but in general in the whole entire Spain. There are some big cities such as Madrid, Barcelona, etc. that do have like an Uber, VTS like cars where you can book it on the app. They'll come and pick you up, and it's like a private shuttle of a kind. But there's also usual and typical taxis that we all know and use quite frequently during our holidays. There are big differences in terms of price and service a lot of the times between one area and the other. The most expensive cities to take the taxi would be in Spain, officially you can see it here on the map, San Sebastian, Ourense and Vitoria. These are north parts of Spain, towards the north. Somehow that is the reason, maybe because there's not a lot of service there, maybe because a lot of roads are paid and you need to pay for it, so they're like increase it. Not too sure, but in that area of Spain in particular, these are the most expensive taxis that will cost you the biggest amount of money to move around the area. And the difference between the most expensive town and the cheapest one is of around 67%. Just imagine this massive amount. So for each euro, it's like 67 cents of difference. Daily pricing in terms of lowering the flag. I'm not sure how it's called in English, but here in Spain it's called bajada de bandera, which is literally lowering the flag, like making it occupied instead of free and available. The cheapest one during the day is €1.10, and it's in Ceuta, which is like African side already, towards very, very south of Spain. And the most expensive one is in San Sebastian, which costs you nearly €5, only to lower the flag and say that it's occupied by you right now and not free and available. And at night, it's €1.45 in Castellón and €5 in Girona. You can see that prices have a massive difference in this sense. Las Palmas of Gran Canaria, of Canary Islands, and Ceuta are the cheapest ones in terms of booking a taxi. This is where you will pay the lowest amount of money for a taxi service, which is great, not gonna lie. It's strange that Gran Canaria does have a lowest service. It's an island. Usually things should be more expensive there, but hey, that's actually a great news. What is happening with the prices here in Benidorm in terms of taxis? First of all, you should know that Benidorm has launched this new app, Taxi Coin, for a taxi service. I do not see a lot of people using it, to be honest with you. I know there were some issues with the app itself, with registering and putting your card details inside, like putting all your data. It didn't allow for people to proceed with it. So far, I don't see a lot of people using. People just go old-fashioned way, calling or just stopping the taxi at different taxi stops here in town. And recently we've used the taxi service here in Benidorm, so I can definitely let you know the prices. Here on average, the lowering of the flag costs around €3, which is not the least expensive one. It's more or less in the middle in terms of the costs. In terms of kilometer, it also depends. There are 3 different tariffs. There's 1 and 2. And the third one depends on if it's a day, if it's night, if it's on festive days or weekends. Plus, it's going to be around 90 cents per kilometer. And then if it's a weekend or if it's a holiday, it's going to be €1, probably €1 something. So whenever you go from Benidorm, Rincon de Lodge towards Albir village, for example, it will cost you around 11-13 euros one way. If you decide to go to Altea, it might cost you nearly 15, 18 or 20 euros, depending on which part of Altea you're actually going. If it's towards the old town, probably 20 euros it is one way. If you decide to take the taxi from the Alicante airport towards Benidorm, or from Benidorm towards Alicante airport, there are some fixed prices, more or less, that they can ask you to pay, but it might be somewhere in between 90 euros, depending on the traffic, on how fast the driver will go, and if there's going to be any kind of queues on the entrance or not. So these will be more or less the prices. The good thing is that in a lot of parts where the taxi stop is located, there are these information boards. Not everywhere, but in a lot of parts there are information boards that show you different prices depending on where you would potentially go. These ones are not of this year, 2024. So the price difference might be of like a couple of euros, more or less. So check it out and ask in advance. The worst thing of being a tourist is that you probably don't always know the fastest or the best way to get anywhere with the taxis. So sometimes taxi drivers, if they see you don't know where you're going, they might, or if there's like different ways to get there, they might be going through a slower way just to charge you slightly more. Not saying all the taxi drivers are like this. We've met a lot of taxi drivers that are honest people, that are good people, that bring you the fastest way possible and charge you exactly what they need to charge you. But then there are others who are greedy in this sense, and they just prefer to charge as much as possible or change the tariff because they know that people don't understand what it's all about. So always ask what the price will be, and if you feel it's too much, call the taxi station, ask someone else, ask a local how much more or less it should cost, so that you would know if you're being scammed or not. But it's less frequent right now than it was the previous years and decades, especially here in Benidorm town. Let us know if you've used the taxi recently, and how did you find the prices, and did you find the price was fair, and if you've had a good service here in Benidorm or maybe any other surrounding area here around us. And the last news will be about the continuous issue that we find ourselves in right now in terms of protests. As you all know, these protests started in Canary Islands. A lot of people went to the streets. They were saying that they do not want tourists of some certain kind. Then the British newspapers and international newspapers put this idea in the air, saying that Spain doesn't want tourism in general. Then there was this huge bubble bursting in our faces, and people were thinking we don't want them to come to Spain any longer, which was actually not true. And we've explained you in a few videos backwards in the news updates that basically people were protesting about the certain type of tourism, okay, about certain places that are suffering a lot, especially natural preserved areas, a lot of places that just dunes, like the Virgin Beach areas. There's a lot of places that are not what it used to be because of maxified tourism, and there's more and more touristic apartments. There's more places where locals don't have where to live any longer because there are no rents available, and the prices went sky high. This time society, as per our Spanish newspapers, okay, what they say is that society is actually canceling and saying no to the nowadays tourism model in Spain in general, not only here in the area but in general throughout all the entire Spain, which is like maxified tourism. It's to shove in, it's to bring in as much tourists as possible, is to get all this money, you know, this greediness itself. That is not good for the area because tourists are suffering as well. If there's too many people, the city is not able to pick up all the garbage, all the litter, and it's gonna be looking dirty. You know, they cannot clean the beach well enough. The areas that are nice, clean, tidy, the natural preserved areas will not be natural any longer if there's gonna be so many people, so many rubbish there, so many garbage thrown out, the fires, you know, because people leave things behind. Everyone will suffer, not only locals but tourists too. And since in Canary Islands they've been on protests already, right now on the 25th of May there's going to be protests in Mallorca, probably in Palma de Mallorca, And in June, there's going to be protests in Malaga, which is South Spain, Andalusia. Probably there's going to be even more protests in Sevilla, which is suffering a lot from too much tourism, and Madrid area, which as a city, as a central part of it, people cannot stand it because the vast majority of the building is occupied by tourists, and some people are respectful, don't get me wrong, but then there's others who are not, especially groups that do not respect the timetables, the hours of sleep in the community, or throw away the luggages. They just bag them into the walls, these luggages, and they throw them away, and they go with shoes, like with the high heels, making noise, shouting, yelling, music, all of this non-stop. So it just hurts the locals mostly, and other tourists might be hurt with it as well. Thus, we don't know what they're asking, because the tourist tax that we have in Balearic Islands already, in Catalonia, it's not something that is helping too much, because people that want to go, they're still paying it. In any case, limiting, it's probably not the solution either, such as in Venezia, for example. In Venice, they also are limiting some specific parts, but it's still there, it's still maxified. It's not worth going any longer a lot of the times, unless it's outside season, but it's not the same. So Spain and the government don't really know what to do with it. They want to make it better, and they know they need solutions, better to say. But what's going to be happening with it, we will see. The worst part about all this is that local and small businesses are disappearing slowly but surely. And instead of these businesses that were here for decades, are crafts, handmade, great quality businesses, instead of those, there's McDonald's, there's KFC, there's Burger King, there's shops that are international and known worldwide, big corporations that are coming into the cities. And locals need to go because they cannot compete with their prices simply. And that's the truth. That's the shame of all of this. Luckily in Benidorm, for example, the old town and the central area that we have right there behind us, there are more and more small businesses and a lot of entrepreneurs and especially younger people. They are putting all in and opening some crafts, something special, something handmade, something authentic from the area, because they know people want this service. They know there is a lack of this type of service here in the area, these type of businesses. And luckily in Benidorm, it's not as bad as in other parts in Spain, but definitely something needs to be done. And once again, it's not like people don't want tourists to come. Obviously, Spain depends on tourism a lot, trust me. And those who work in tourism, they want you to come because they want to keep their job in place. It's just, we need to do something so that tourists and locals would live in harmony while they are all there together, and preserve all the areas people are coming to see every single day. Let's go and have a short walk and discover what the beach of Levante is looking like today, and also what weather is waiting for you in the next week's time, right before June will start. This is what the weather is looking like today. There are some clouds. They're blocking the sunshine just a tiny bit, but towards the second half of the day, they shouldn't be here any longer. Tomorrow in north parts of Spain, it might be raining, but here, this is what we'll be having the whole entire week at least. And it shouldn't be raining from now on for at least some time in a row. We will have some sunshine mixed with clouds in all this area. See, the sun is already here. It's back to our region. The temperatures today will be of around 22 to 23. It's slightly more chilly because we will have these clouds around us. Tomorrow it's going to be 25, and the rest of the week more or less the same, 23 to 25 or 26 degrees. Probably on the sunshine, it might be slightly more than that. See all these clouds? Just a tiny bit of them, but they will be gone by the second part of the day. And the beach is getting busier and busier. Look at this. People doing sports, people enjoying on the sunshine. And the smell of sunscreen is pretty much present in all this area non-stop right now. This is how we know the summer is here. The water temperature yesterday was of shocking 19.3 degrees, and While the sun will be heating up all this area, it will be around plus 20 degrees of water temperature in the next few days. So we were really surprised with it, because usually it's around 18 more or less, and now, hi! Because usually it's the temperatures that we have here, but with all this great weather with plus 25, plus 26, the 20 degrees of water temperature, this is why people are actually swimming. This is why we see so many people going into the sea. We went to dip in our toes and feet the other day, and it's actually quite great. So do that. If you're not gonna swim, at least have a lovely walk by the seashore, because you will be pleasantly surprised with the water temperature. We'll see you in a new video here on the channel. Bye, Dees.